Welcome to Cage Minds. I'm Mika Frankl, and I'm joined by Rakim Thorpe. And this is going to be the first of a couple weeks here in a row where we're going to talk to Rakim about his upcoming pro debut, March 26th, Caged Aggression 30. First off, sir, how you doing?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm fresh off of a strength and conditioning practice with my boy Rodney. And, I'm just gearing up for wrestling class in about a half an hour. I'm ready to go, man. How you feeling?
Oh, I'm doing great. First off, I want to get people to know you, talk about your story a little bit. I made the mistake. I remember in one of the first interviews we talked about saying that you were from Atlanta. You had moved to Albuquerque from Atlanta, but you're from a bit farther north is where you were born and raised, right?
Yes, sir. I'm from a small town called Freehold, New Jersey. But I moved to Atlanta after college, started pursuing MMA. And that's how I found Albuquerque.
Well, what was growing up in New Jersey like? And tell everybody a little bit about the athletic background, because I know you were quite the competitor as a young man.
Okay, New Jersey's an East Coast state, about an hour away from New York, an hour away from Philadelphia. That's where I grew up. I had my first wrestling match at age 6. My uncle threw me in there. I had no idea what was going on, but I ended up winning first place in the tournament. I did that for 2 years, but me and my cousins, we used to watch the Cowboys a lot, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin. So as soon as we turned 9 years old, it was time to play football. Even though I'm a Giants fan, but I grew up watching the Cowboys because of my uncle. But, I didn't really wrestle in high school. I played football varsity, won a state championship at my high school my junior year. I guess my competitiveness comes from, just training, playing football, wrestling when I was a kid. I grew up playing basketball. I won a championship in middle school in basketball. I even played baseball, made the all-star team my first year. I don't know, man. I just always loved sports. It kept me out of trouble. Growing up in New Jersey, everything's close, so everyone knows each other. You can get into the wrong crowds and everything, but you got to be strong enough to, go your own way.
And you said it, football was the first love, though, athletically?
Yeah, I mean, I still love football, but my uncle really wanted me to wrestle in high school. You never know, man, what I could have been if I did, but I was just too in love with football. But that was my first love for sure.
And what position did you play when you had your football days?
Um, I played running back until they transferred my cousin to my school when we won the state championship. And then I ended up playing middle linebacker, man. I was small, but I just rip your face off. I don't know. I was just really good, I was all shorts, kind of like all state, I don't know, man. I love playing sports. I love hitting people. I love contact. I love being the better man and proving that I'm the better man.
How many of those skills transfer over from football to MMA?
Definitely a lot. Playing middle linebacker, you got to use your mind a lot. You got to be able to read plays. I just remember one time in practice, my head coach, he called like 3 plays, and like I knew what the play was going to be before it started. He likes to run toss, and then he does belly after that. If you use your mind, you can read. I don't know. I transfer that to MMA. Head kicks, leg kicks, punches, they all kind of feel like, just being hit in football. I'm used to impact.
And it sounded like you started to mention it before. I wanted to ask a little more about football. It's hard to stay in the straight and narrow there in the East Coast. There's a lot of stuff that transpired. There's a lot of gangs and just a lot of narcotics. There's a lot of those bad influences up in that small tri-state area. You seem like you're about to start talking about that a little bit.
Oh yeah, man. I've never been to jail or anything, but I got close friends, family members, I've definitely seen a harder side of life, but in the end, I feel like it gives me resiliency, being able to survive and, overcome things and being able to think for yourself and knowing what's good for you and knowing what's not good for you. I was always academically a good student. I've always got A's and B's. I finished school. I finished college. A lot of people probably thought I couldn't do that, but I did. And, now I'm in love with this sport of MMA. It's just like being in school again. Every day I learn something new from Mike Winklejohn, Greg Jackson, or Coach Joey. I feel like I'm at a high level right now, but I know if I stay with this for, 5 more years, 6 more years, I know I feel like I can be elite if I listen and I stay focused and I stay motivated.
Where did you go to school at?
I went to Johnson & Wales University. It's mainly known for cooking. Emerald graduated from there. But I studied sports entertainment and event management. That's actually how I found out about the sport of MMA in New England, Rhode Island. They have a promotion called CES, Classic Entertainment and Sports. And I ended up interning for them my junior year. So I was always around it. I was always at the weigh-ins. I was in the office seeing how fighters sell tickets and promote themselves. I honestly probably could manage myself, but I want to focus on the fighting. But that's how I found out about MMA. I started interning for CES, Jimmy Birchfield, Mike Parenti, and guys like that. Then I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, man, I could probably do this. I didn't get to compete in college. So, I always wanted to be an athlete, so now's my chance. I feel like I'm in my physical prime. People can say, oh, he's 29 and he's making his pro debut, but Anderson Silva made his pro debut at 30 years old. Kamaru Usman made his pro debut at 28 years old. I started when I was 23. So I've been training for 6 years to become a pro. I didn't want to just have 5 fights and be a mediocre fighter and have a mediocre pro career. I'm in this for the long run. I don't think I'm going to be an overnight success, but I won't speak too soon. I feel like it's going to be a grind, and I'm going to take my time with this sport, man, because I want to make a career out of it.
Well, I find that first thing you said fascinating. CES, we know them. They're on UFC Fight Pass. So your first fight that you saw for MMA wasn't a UFC. It was there right in front of you when you were an intern?
Yeah, man. I've seen a lot of guys come out of CES and go into the UFC. John Doomsday Howard, I watched him fight before he made it to the UFC. Rob Font is a bantamweight that I used to watch when he was trying to make 135. Andre Sukumtath is like an Asian fighter from Rhode Island. I used to watch him. And I remember telling Jimmy Birchfield that I wanted to fight one day, but I wasn't being serious, So he gave me like these MMA shorts, but they were like a size 30. And at that time I was in college, so I was like pushing 190 because, I was partying, eating the dorm food, I wasn't an athlete. I was just a regular person, studying and having fun in college. So it's kind of weird to be here, that I'm actually about to be a professional fighter and compete,
And at that time, when does this whole move to Atlanta and starting to take the sport seriously, when does that happen?
So after I graduated school, I stayed in New England for a year, but I just felt like there was nothing there for me. So I see a flyer on the grounds like cardio kickboxing class, try a free class. And I told my girlfriend, she's like, really? You're going to try that? I'm like, yeah, man, I'm going to try it. So I ended up moving back to New Jersey for about a month. Didn't like staying in my hometown. Didn't like having people in my business. Didn't want to get caught up in the wrong crowd, trying to be cool, doing the wrong things. So my mom was already in Atlanta. So I booked it. I had an interview with the Atlanta Falcons. I didn't get the job, so I was like, man, I got to stay busy at least, because I can't be stagnant. I want to keep progressing in life, whether it's a job or something else. So I started watching The Ultimate Fighter. I saw this guy named Diego Lima on there. And then I really liked his personality and who he was. So I Googled the gym. I realized that he was from Georgia, and it was only 8 minutes from my house. So I was like, you know what, man, I'm gonna go try it out. So I go for a class. It's my first day. I'm almost 200 pounds. I'm out of shape. I'm 23 years old. After class, I'm dead. And a guy by the name of Bavon Lewis, he was the first person I met when I went into the gym. And he asked me, he's like, how do you fight, man? What's your fight style? You know, me not knowing anything, I put my right foot forward, I'm like, man, I'll fight like this, just being in, street fights in college and, growing up. He's like, nah, man, you're a righty. So you got to stand like this because your power hand has to be behind you. And I just remember it so vividly. It's crazy that he's in the UFC now. Shout out to him. But he's the person who taught me how to stand straight. I learned a lot of jiu-jitsu and wrestling from Diego and Douglas Lima. Muay Thai, just being tough. And I had my first amateur fight under them before I switched to another gym called X3 Sports.
Wow. So you kind of jumped right in there with some really great trainers just right at the beginning. I'm like, I know those names. Those are some great names. Obviously, I know Bavon and got to cover Diego Lima. He fought here for XFC once. That was awesome. Got to meet him and talk to him. So those seemed like it was a really great foundation to start with.
Yeah, man. They really, I feel like I had a traditional start. I was training in the gi for a year. My coach, Amir, he was the head coach at, the gym in Gwinnett County. He told me, you can't fight until you get your blue belt. But I was excelling so fast that I had my first fight in 10 months. He's like, man, I think you're ready, man. I think I broke a kid's nose on accident. He's like, man, what are you doing, man? You're breaking kids' nose. What are you doing? I'm like, I'm sorry, man, but I didn't mean to do it, but I think I'm ready to fight. And he's like, all right, you know what? You're going to have your first fight at 155. I was like, okay. I'm like, okay. And, I ended up winning the fight, going through some adversity. I was training a lot with Cody Durden. He's in the UFC now. He used to beat my ass every day until I got better. And then, sometimes I would get him. Shout out to him as well. These are just things I remember, on my career path. So I had my first fight in 10 months, got hit with a hard uppercut. And I'm like, damn, what did I get myself into? But I ended up coming back and winning the fight strictly off of jiu-jitsu and muscle memory, just from training for 10 months straight with Diego and Douglas. And then I even had a guy in the gym. He was upset because I had my fight and I was a white belt. He's like, oh, Rocky got his blue belt. How come he's fighting, And that's when I kind of transferred out to X3 Sports. That's a gym in the heart of Atlanta. They got a lot of good guys there, man. That's where I developed my toughness, training with a lot of African-American fighters, just every Friday sparring hard with a professional. His name's Nathan Williams, man. He's a great fighter. I would just watch him and I would have my fight camps with him, and he showed me the way. He showed me how to cut weight. He showed me what it takes to be a pro. There were times when I was in the gym at X3 with my head coach, Tony Tucci, and he would make us fight. But he would say, I want you guys to try to hurt each other. Like, I want you guys to try to knock each other out. And I just remember that round. I mean, we didn't knock each other out, but I just remember it being more serious and taking it more serious, like, okay, he's going to try to knock me out. So my defense was better. My technique was better. MMA is a weird sport, man. Like, you got to develop a certain toughness. You can't be afraid to hurt people. This is a killer be killed sport. And as you get older, you realize that the world is dog eat dog. So, I mean, I'm ready to go, man. This is who I am now.
When was the moment? Was it that uppercut? When was the moment that you had to say to yourself, do I really want to do this?
Yeah, it was that uppercut. Boom. I remember getting up off the canvas, bright lights. I remember looking up at the lights for some reason. It was just bright. And I was like, damn, I just spent 10 months of my life training for this. Ain't no way I'm losing. Ain't no way I'm going out like this. So the next round, you know, this guy's about 6 foot, ex-Marine, way older than me. I just come out. I do what I learned. I honestly didn't know what I was doing. I beat him in the second round with strictly leg kicks. Strictly leg kicks. I beat him, setting it up, boom, boom, and takedowns. In the third round, you know, I just beat him with wrestling and jiu-jitsu. But I knew after that uppercut that I was like, man, I ate that. You know, he got me. But I'm made for this. I'm an athlete. I'm ready for this.
How did it lead to figuring out that you wanted to come out here? You're training at X3. It sounds like you're, again, learning a lot and getting tested and, as you said, developing that toughness.
I mean, I was training at X3, man. I remember I had a title fight coming up. And I had a fallout with one of my Muay Thai coaches. I'm not going to lie. I wouldn't say I'm a difficult guy, but I'm smart enough to realize when someone isn't, I don't know, isn't for me, you know, when the energy isn't right anymore. I love my teammates, but it's just this one guy there, you know. All it takes is one guy for me to leave. But being in Albuquerque, just learning and growing. Everything happens for a reason, you know. I ended up leaving the gym. I ended up losing my job. I ended up losing my girl, you know. So I had to make a change. I decided to book it to Albuquerque. I came out here. I fell in love with the fight culture out here. Like, everyone knows about it. The mom and pop shops love fighting. Everyone loves fighting. Grandmas, grandpas, it's a fighting city. You know, you got Johnny Tapia, John Jones, Holly Holm, you got Jacksonwink, and then you got a whole bunch of other gyms out here that, you know, branched off. It's just like, I feel like it's a mecca. People can say what they want about Jacksonwink. They can say we fall off or whatever, but just like in high school and college, there's always a new class of fighters. There's always a new generation coming. And if you think Jacksonwink fell off, you're crazy. Because we still got the mastermind coaches. I mean, these guys have been doing MMA since the 90s. People could say they're in it for money, but shit, Greg Jackson and Mike Winklejohn and Coach Joe, they had practice every day, more than some of the fighters. And I only know that because I'm there every day. They're more passionate about the sport than most people that I ever met. So it's an honor to be around that and to learn from them, to have them know your name, to have them know your fight style. I worked hard for that, 2 hard years. They didn't know who I was when I first came into the gym, but now I get to work with them in small groups, you know. I won my first 3 Annie fights, you know, in Georgia, you can't throw elbows as an Annie. You know, I'm getting meaner. I know how to win a fight. I know how to win a round. I'm just going to keep working, man. I love Jacksonwink. I'm not going anywhere. I love this gym. I love the energy. They're not going to baby you. You're going to have to do your own strength and conditioning, and you're going to have to come to class. You can't just hit pads for Instagram and think you're going to be the next champ. You got to put in the work, blood, sweat, tears. You got to go with guys like Diego Brandao, Steve Garcia. You got to go with guys like Dan Argueta. You got to go with these guys. You might win some rounds, you might lose some rounds, but at the end of the day, it's all love. It's all family. We're here for one common goal, and that's to be great.
6 years you've been on this journey as an amateur, right?
Yes, sir.
How does it feel to be on the brink of being a professional after 6 years of training, of honing your martial arts skills?
It's exciting. But at the same time, man, this is a long game. I'm talking 20, 30 fights possibly, you know? And I feel like I'm right where I need to be. I feel like I'm a grown man. I feel like I'm in my physical prime. I feel like this is the best chance I have to, you know, to go somewhere. You know, I mean, this is my pro debut, but this is just the, you know, the first step. I'm thinking, I'm trying to be great, honestly. I mean, I really am. Like, I want to be somebody in this sport. I know it comes with like money and fame, but you got to win, you know, like it's more than that, honestly. I'll fight you for 2 McChickens if I'm showcasing my best skills, if I'm a beast, if I knock you out like in a highlight on a highlight reel. You know, I want to show the world that I'm a great mixed martial artist, not just a wrestler. I mean, yeah, that's my back. That's my base. And you know what? That's not a bad base to have. That's one of the best bases to have. People forget that this is MMA. You can be the greatest striker in the world, but if you come across a great grappler with decent striking, I feel like he's gonna get you. If you come across a great grappler with exceptional striking and you only a striker, you know, you're not gonna win that fight.
All great points. I want to go back just a second. You're talking about the gym. I got to ask, when you first got there, was there any starstruck moment? I don't know if it'd be meeting John, meeting Holly. For me, it was actually just the first time I was talking to Greg Jackson and Mike Winklejohn. I was only like, "Hello, sir." I think that was all I was able to get out for like the first 2 minutes.
When I first got there, man, it really felt like your first day of school. Like I remember one of my friends, Alex, that I trained with back in Georgia, he's still at Jacksonwink too. He made a video. That's exactly how it feels. Like it's your first day of like first grade or second grade. You don't know what to expect. You see all these people. And then, you know, you're looking from the balcony and you see John Jones in the cage. You see Holly Holm. You see living legends like Diego Sanchez. You hear Diego Sanchez while you sleep in the dorm. I lived there for 30 days and then I got out, but I'm really thankful for those 30 days. I would wake up to hearing Diego Sanchez throwing overhands and hooks, like, and it was just so motivating. You could just hear him. His mentality, that's the mentality you need to have for this sport. Like, he's got that mentality, you know? And then the first time I saw John Jones, of course I got starstruck because I used to watch the DVD. It's called The Proving Grounds. They don't have it anymore, but it used to be on Netflix in 2015. So I watched that. So yeah, every time I hear Greg Jackson's voice and like Mike Winklejohn's voice, it goes back to that DVD. And I'm like, damn, I can't believe I'm sitting here in front of him learning techniques from him just from watching that video. I don't know if anyone's ever seen that, but if you haven't, you need to go watch that. It was very motivating. So yeah, definitely starstruck.
This is just chapter 1. We're going to have Rakim here for the next 4 weeks in lead up to Caged Aggression 30. Sir, we're going to let you get to wrestling practice. Have a great day.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mike. See you soon, man. That's right, guys. Stay tuned. Rakim Thorpe here, making my pro debut March 26th, Caged Aggression. Devin Seats, I'll see you soon, man. Expect the war.